If you're looking for one of the more unheralded defenses across college football, especially finished out and performed throughout 2015, we're talking Northwestern football with Zach Pereles from Inside NU to help us break down defensive line there with the Wildcats with Dean Lowery in particular, Zach. So before we spin it ahead to 2016, tell us why Lowery was so special, what he brought to the table, how much he's going to be missed.
Well, I can tell you that he's missed a lot there. Not a lot of 6'6" guys that are almost 300 pounds and can run down pretty much any quarterback in the Big Ten and run down a lot of running backs as well. Very good against the pass, very good against the run, really strong guy. Basically has all the measurables of like a dominant defensive end, except he has really short arms. So that's kind of interesting. He's going to be very, very missed. He's a guy that teams had to double team him, and when he wasn't double teamed, he would just win individual battles. When he was double teamed, that allowed other guys to win their individual battles.
Lowery with 13 tackles for loss. Max Chapman also a pretty main contributor. He's gone from the 15 team. So in terms of career starts, in terms of playing time inside Tyler Lancaster with 13 starts, Xavier Washington with 12 seem to be the mainstays.
Yeah, Tyler Lancaster really had a breakout year last year. Very athletic guy for as big as he is. Also one of the strongest guys on the team, if not the strongest guy on the team. Really runs well side to side, is a good run stopper. CJ Robbins also really good against the run. In his 6th year, really knows the system well, of course, and just a smart, good, technically sound football player.
Now you're really pretty hopeful that Jordan Thompson could be a star in the Big Ten after what you saw out of him as a freshman.
Yeah, Jordan Thompson is a really good athlete, a little bit undersized for the middle, but very strong, plays with really good leverage, probably doesn't have the burst of like a Dean Lowery, but is a strong guy, really, really good technique, uses his hands really well, strong guy as well. They're expecting big things out of him this year in an increased role in his true sophomore season.
So, Zach, how do you feel about the end position? Obviously, you need to rush the passer, and that's where most of the pass rush comes from. You got a couple of veterans in Washington and Odenigbo. Xavier Washington had 3.5 sacks from the DN position last year.
Yeah, so Ifeadi Odenigbo and Xavier Washington can both get after the quarterback. The big question is, can they stop the run? Because that's what Dean Lowery and Deontay Gibson were able to do so well last year. From what we've seen, the answer to that is pretty much no. Ifeadi Odenigbo was Pat Fitzgerald's most highly rated recruit, and he really hasn't really panned out yet. Been stuck behind Gibson and Dean Lowery, but this is his year. This is his chance to prove that he is worthy of that like high 4-star recruiting rating, and he can get after the passer. He needs to hold up in the run game. Xavier Washington, a little bit of a smaller guy, he really, really needs to hold up in the run game. We haven't really seen him nearly as much as we've seen Odenigbo.
Odenigbo with 5 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. Just want your analysis on this group last year. They obviously played well because despite the stagnant offense, you held up on defense throughout the season. Do you feel that the group in 16 is going to be as good as what you saw in 15, despite the loss of Gibson and Lowery in particular?
Tackles should be even better. The defensive ends is where I'm a little bit concerned, and most Northwestern fans are a little bit concerned. You really can't replace a guy that, Dean Lowery was a defensive player of the week. Deontay Gibson was as well. These guys were really, really good. You almost always had to double team them or have a tight end come and chip them, or else you were in trouble. And then against studs as well. And then the thing is, whenever they needed a breather, you could bring in an Ifeadi Odenigbo or a Xavier Washington. This year with Ifeadi Odenigbo and Xavier Washington starting, the depth is really not there. You have 2 redshirt freshmen and Joe Gaziano and Trent Goins. Those guys have not played a single down of football at the collegiate level. So when Ifeadi Odenigbo and Xavier Washington come out, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, you can't play every down as a defensive lineman, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of depth they have there.
So Trent Goins, 62nd ranked defensive end out of 2015's class out of California. You mentioned Thompson, 70th rated player at the same position, D end out of Ohio in that 2015 class. Had a couple nice recruits in the top 75 in terms of the incoming freshmen, probably a couple guys we won't see in 16, but beyond that, keep in mind Tommy Carnifax and also others out of Ohio. Both players out of Ohio could help out the Wildcats in future years. All right, this was the 12th rated scoring defense in all of college football in 2015. We're talking Northwestern football with Zach Peerless from Zach. We appreciate the breakdown, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.